This is my table saw. It's a 52-inch Harvey Alpha with some additional features. Now, last year at AWFS, I got to see their new Big EYE rip fence system that they were coming out with. Now, just because it's a Harvey model doesn't mean that it's a Harvey exclusive, and it's designed to work with multiple table saws, as shown here, installed on a saw stop. Now, Harvey was nice enough to send me out one of their new systems, so this video is not really going to be a install video, even though I'm putting it together, or a review video because I'm just installing it now. I'm really going to focus more on the features and differences between a standard table fence and this new Big EYE rip fence system. Some of those being the locking system, fine adjustments, the way it moves in general compared to standard table saws, and we'll look at any additional features that don't come on most standard fence systems. Now, before I get to the fence, I will go through a little musical interlude showing all the stuff I had to take off before I can show you all the pieces that end up back on. So enjoy whatever ambient music I found. All right, and we're back. And I can say one of the first things I noticed before I even unboxed anything was the weight difference. This entire package, so the rails weighed in at about 35 pounds, and that's for the entire box, which means that the fence system is maybe like another 30 to 40 pounds. So we're clocking in at around 75, 80 pounds altogether, whereas the original fence system was probably 85 pounds just for one rail. Now, one of the things I'm going to talk about later in the video, you can see here, are that we're using a bearing system to guide the rails, unlike your traditional table saws, but I'll save more of that for later, but I'll give you a little bit up close view since it's already upside down. Now, since I have the rails upside down, this will be something I talk about later as well, but it is a extruded aluminum with a T-track system designed into it. Now, this is the part where the fence attaches to the cast iron, but there's another slot at the bottom that, like I said, we'll get to in proper order. So as I stand here struggling to put the fence on because I didn't notice there was a guide pin in my router wing, let's get ready to talk about the rails. So as I mentioned, they are an extruded aluminum with a T-track style connection in the back that attaches to the cast iron. We have flip stops along the left and the right side, in addition to these little red stoppers. You have your traditional tape measure, which it can either be in imperial or metric. Now, one of the things I'd say is to make sure to read the instructions, because even though it's pretty well dialed in, there are some things you can do to improve how easily it glides back and forth. Now, one of the first things you'll notice about this system is the handle. Compared to traditional table saws, where the handle pushes down, creates force against the fence to lock everything in place, This handle, one, is mounted on the top of the fence, and two, when you push it down, it not only locks against the front, but it also locks against the back at the same time. So it's a new system that basically you get force from both ends, which also helps with any sort of deflection you may get from a one-sided brake system. It doesn't require much force to lift the lever up or down, and as you can see, it glides really smooth with just a couple of fingertips. So, pretty sturdy. This fish does come with the European style high-low fence system, meaning that it can be set in two ways depending on the height of the material you're cutting. And as you may notice on the top, there is a slit. That slit is a integrated T-track into the fence. Now, when I was at AWFS, I posted a quick video about that, and somebody commented, "Oh, my jigs won't fit on that fence, so it's a no for me." And I'm like, "It's a jig, just modify it." But anyway, I just grabbed a bow knob that I got out of a gift bag and a T-bolt I had around, and just slid it in, and now I potentially have a jig. I I screw it into some plywood and, make some modifications. So it's a nice way to be able to secure your jig down to your fence without having to like screw it in or add additional clamps. Just an idea. Now, when it comes to adjusting the fence, I'm not one to mess with a classic as shown here with the tried and true tap method.
Tap it in. Just tap it in. Give it a little tap.
Now, they say if it's not broke, don't fix it. But for those of you who crave and desire the utmost accuracy, this fence comes with a fine adjustment knob. So, if you need an inch and a quarter, inch and a half, or whatever, you're able to really micro dial that in without, smacking the crap out of your fence. But whatever works for you. Also, uh, where it gets its name from, the Big Eye, is this giant piece of crystal that is on both sides of the fence. It's fairly anti-glare, at least in my shop. Very clear, easy to read. It gives a slight magnification to the numbers, and it's pretty accurate in terms of dialing things in. So that's pretty awesome as well. Another feature that I haven't seen on standard saws and wasn't on my original fence is a built-in flip stop. So there are four of these, two on each side, and super easy. Just flip down, screw it into place, whatever your measurement is, and you can come back. So if you're someone who makes a lot of repetitive cuts, this seems like a good system to be able to, do repetitive cuts, switch to another project, come back, flip down your gauge, and get right back to where you want without messing up any of your measurements and having to, recalculate or whatever. So, yeah, it's a nice feature to have in terms of, like I said, seeing this compared to other saws. And it's easy enough that when you're done using it, it just flips up and you just roll the fence right over it. I, in playing around, have wondered why my fence wasn't moving, only to realize that I had put the flip stop down for show. So one of the things I mentioned before that's a feature that I didn't know about was the integrated T-track. So on this side, the power supply fits in there, but then I had an idea. What if I can mount my dust collection on the other end? So now I don't have to bend over anymore to swap out my hose. I have a small shop, one dust collector, nothing is piped in, so it's usually me crawling around, switching from unit to unit. But now I just move wood over from the table saw to the router table, and when I'm done with either, I just take off the hose and attach it to whatever of the machine. So that was my highlight once I realized that was an option. So yeah, that's just my feature overview and kind of comparison for this fence system. Big differences are the locking mechanism and how it secures to both ends of the table saw simultaneously. The bearing and rod system that the fence glides on versus the traditional bushings. The integrated flip stop guide is pretty nice, but like I said, the one thing that I didn't realize and I found out later that I'm excited about is the T-track on the bottom of the saw that allows me to mount my Rockler dust collection so that I don't have to crawl around on the floor anymore. And honestly, that's kind of a win in itself. So yeah, hope you like this little overview. And if you're looking for some enhanced functionality out of your table saw, then maybe this is for you. Like I said, this is just kind of an overview, but let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, or if you want to see me do a review after I've used it for a few months. But either way, thanks for watching. Always appreciate your time and catch you in the next video.